my name is Isabel Kaner. I'm Policy and Campaigns Officer for the Shared Health Foundation. We're a teeny tiny organisation based in Greater Manchester, working to alleviate the impact that poverty has on health. And through that, our largest area of work is looking at families and specifically children in temporary accommodation and the impacts that it has on their health and education. So with that, we are co-secretariat to the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Households and Temporary Accommodation. So we have about 43 members in Parliament who work on this cause with us as well. And we're super lucky to be joined by Gideon Amos today, who's going to provide us with a little glimpse of his views on the government's national plan to ending homelessness and how that translates into a local kind of what it looks like on the ground. So the structure of today's session is going to be slightly different. We're going to get you guys involved a little bit more than in a traditional panel session. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a background of the issue. Then we've got a bit of a game to get you guys up and moving and awake and ready for the rest of the session. Then Gideon's gonna talk for us. Then we've got a little interactive session at the end, followed by Q&A. I hope that's all okay with everybody. So yeah, I'll begin with a little background. So to kind of, if you don't know much about the issue, there's currently 176,000 children living in temporary accommodation in England alone. It's increasing dramatically each year. It's roughly around 20,000 increase per year that we're seeing children living in B&Bs, hostels that can be mixed with single adult men, having to share bathroom and kitchen facilities with them. Not all temporary accommodation is bad, but we're here to talk about the really bad stuff that is affecting the livelihoods and well-being of children. At the worst end of it, 74 children have died with temporary accommodation listed as a contributing factor to their death since 2019. 58 of those were under the age of 1. So it's quite stark, the impacts that we're seeing, among kind of other things such as not being able to get to school on time because you've been placed in accommodation that's out of your local authority area, or not having access to Wi-Fi or cooking facilities or a washing machine. It's kind of the knock-on impacts of living in unsuitable accommodation that can really, really affect these children. So as you can see on our fancy slide here as well, this shows the increase of children living in Lib Dem MPs in England only, in their constituencies. So you can see between January and September, there was almost over 2,000 increase in children living in temporary accommodation in the English Lib Dem MPs constituencies. That's just a space of a few months, never mind over the space of a few years. And if we don't take bold action now, this is going to carry on going up and up and up and up. So with that, we're going to lighten the mood slightly, and we're going to play a game of play your cards right. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but it's kind of our own version of it. So my glamorous colleague here, Maha, will hold up a card. We're going to need 3 volunteers to come and guess if the number on the card after the one we've just shown is higher or lower than the one that we're holding. And it's based on the number of homeless children in English Lib Dems MPs constituencies. Can I please have 1 volunteer to begin? Anybody? There we go, Rob, come on up.
Come on up.
Rob, you can ask the audience for help as well.
Okay, so we're going to start with Gideon's card. Come and stand over here, please, sir. Okay, brilliant. So we're starting with 46. So do you think that Jess Brown-Fuller, MP for Chichester, do you think she's going to have higher or lower than 46 homeless children in her constituency? Use that one. Sorry, use this one. Okay, so can you hear me now? Fantastic. So do you think, Rob, that Jess Brown-Fuller, MP for Chichester, is going to have higher or lower than 46 homeless children in her constituency?
What's that?
Gideon's, sorry,
Gideon's.
that's Gideon's.
That's Gideon's.
I'm gonna go high.
What do we think, audience?
Higher.
You are right, well done. Okay, how about Sarah Gibson, MP for Chippenham? Higher or lower? Audience, what do we think?
Lower.
Lower?
Higher.
Or what are we going for?
I'm gonna go higher.
Oh, no. Sorry, Rob. You've got to sit back down. We need another volunteer, please, to take his place. Come on up.
Right,
Okay, starting with Gideon again. Yeah, we're going to start with Gideon again. And what's your name? Shahama. Thank you very much. Okay, so do you think that Helen Morgan, spokesperson for health, MP for North Shropshire, higher or lower than 46 homeless children? Higher. We're going to go higher? Yay. Okay. Yeah.
It will be on that one over there.
Should we just...
Just pause the music.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we'll just put it to this one. Okay. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what about Zoe Franklin, MP for Guildford, higher or lower? Higher. Oh no, it's lower. Okay, can we have another volunteer, please? Yeah, you gonna come up? Fantastic. What's your name and where you're from?
Gavin, from Mount Deer.
Great, thank you so much for coming up. So, do you think that Manira Wilson, MP for Twickenham, higher or lower? Audience? Higher? Higher? Yes, well done. 364. And what about Lee Dillon's constituency for Newbury, higher or lower?
Lower.
You are right.
You're on a roll.
You're on a roll. Okay, Josh Babarinde, MP for Eastbourne.
Okay,
Higher? You're right. Wow, on a roll.
Gas me up.
And how about Ed Davey, the leader obviously, MP for Kingston and Surbiton?
Lower.
Lower. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, should we have one more volunteer to take us through to the end of the cards?
Anybody?
Anybody? Yeah. Come on up. What's your name and where you're from?
I'm Dylan, I'm from Spokesperson.
Fantastic. Well, welcome, Dylan. And how about Will Foster, MP for Woking, higher or lower than 46?
Higher.
Higher. Yes, you're right. Bobby Dean, MP for Carshalton and Wellington, higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower. Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the highest card. Oh dear. Well, thank you so much. And unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. But we're gonna move on now.
Thank you for playing along, guys. We've got a few prizes for participants who got the highest amount of answers correct. We'll give them out at the end. Thank you. Aside from the light-hearted tone of that, behind each statistic is a child or children living in unsuitable and damaging circumstances that can leave impacts lasting until their adulthood. And it's absolutely vital that we all in here today are able to even just talk about this issue, never mind try and make it a little bit better. Just in the back there. It's okay. No, just temporary accommodation. Thank you. So I'd like to hand over to Gideon Amos now, who is MP for Taunton and Wellington, and also spokesperson for housing for the Lib Dems. Thank you.
Stand up if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you want the other mic?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Right, okay. So not worry too much about the mic, but I'll turn it on just in case. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been looking back at some of the history in terms of what's happened with the number of homeless households in temporary accommodation. And back in 1979, when I was a schoolboy and I got sent to the headmaster for putting a Liberal poster in my house window at school, for some reason that didn't stop Mrs. Thatcher getting in. I don't know why. I've never understood. There were 4,000 homeless families living in temporary accommodation. Roll forward, I picked out 1987. In 1987, I was a student activist in Oxford, and I was one of the volunteer coordinators of the International Year of Shelter for the Homeless. So rolling forward from 1979 to 1987, there were 25,000 families in homeless temporary accommodation. This February, a few weeks ago, we had the latest government figures. Any guesses for how many? 134 families, households in temporary accommodation, we are, colleagues, really going in the wrong direction. These are figures which are honestly, I think, a disgrace to a civilised country, a disgrace to our governments of all colours that we've ended up in this situation. And it's not unrelated, in my view, to the fact that we've lost 4 million council homes since they began to be sold off all those years ago. But as Isabel has made clear, you know, those total figures are just numbers, and I make no mistake for repeating what are quite upsetting examples that Isabel has already said, that 74 children have died with temporary accommodation listed as a contributory cause to their death. And the fact that so many of them are babies is not only upsetting, it's angering, and it should make us angry. It's totally unacceptable. And I just want to say thank you to Shared Health Foundation, because I first came across these figures from the work that you do, and I think you're doing a real service by getting this on the agenda, because without what you're doing, we find it increasingly hard to get these kind of messages across. And of course, as Liberals, Liberal Democrats, we know that having a good home, a decent home, is the foundation of freeing. You can't free people, you can't give them liberty if they don't have a decent home to set out from in the morning and to go home to bed in the evening. We know it is fundamental to giving people the kind of lives that we want them to have, with that basic level of dignity to shape their lives the way they want to. All of those things that we believe in, all the other policies that we discuss at this conference and we have in our constitution and all our values, they can't happen. They can't happen for people if they don't have a decent home in the first place. So it's absolutely fundamental. And looking back, way back into history, Liberals have always prioritised housing and decent homes. Right, Gladstone championed tenants above landlords, introducing radical tenant legislation. Lloyd George, in his government after the First World War with Addison, invented council housing. If you look around in our towns, if you've got, like I have in Taunton, an Addison Grove, you'll see, or an Addison Road or street, and you will see some of the best quality council housing that was ever built under Liberal governments. And the vital need for council housing hasn't gone away. The fact we've lost so much makes it even more necessary. And we need to develop more, which I'll come back to. And then Stephen Ross, the Liberal MP in 1977, who put forward his Homeless Persons Act as a private member's bill, the first time there was this legal duty on local authorities to house homeless people. And in the coalition, we had a good record as well, delivering more affordable homes per year on average than any government in the last 25 years under Liberal Democrat housing ministers. More to do, but we have a record and we need to stand by that record and we need to build on it. But it's important at the same time to recognise some of the good things the government are doing, and in terms of their national plan to end homelessness, they've done what we asked them to do, and what was said on the tin in our manifesto. We wanted a cross-Whitehall plan to end homelessness. They've delivered on that. It's a serious policy, it's considered, and it's deserving of support from across parties to try and make it happen. It's right, for example, to have an overall end to make homelessness rare, because it's being prevented wherever possible, brief and non-recurring. That is a worthy aim. We should all share in that objective. And just as we campaigned in our manifesto to end no-fault evictions, I was proud to lead our MPs in support of that bill, now an Act of Parliament, so that no-fault evictions are now becoming a thing of the past. And also very proud, by the way, in that bill, a Liberal Democrat amendment to give the decent home standard to our military service family accommodation, which the government was fighting shy of doing throughout the passage of the bill. They love setting standards, decent home standards for everyone else, for housing associations, for private landlords. When it comes to their own housing owned by the Ministry of Defence, oh, no, we can't possibly have standards on that. But we got it through with the help of both our MPs and members of the House of Lords, and that became on the statute book. It's also right that that no one should leave a public institution and go straight into homelessness. A staggering 34,000 people last year, they left hospital or prison or other institutions, discharged straight into homelessness. Nowhere to go. Little chance of getting their life back on track, I suggest, in those circumstances. And the target to end rough sleeping is also very welcome and to be supported. And the government are right to demand that local authorities have an action plan to deliver locally, which is what part of the national plan for ending homelessness is all about. But the government needs to go further. And the Liberal Democrat government would be going further. We would build 150,000 social homes per year. We put in £6 billion per year in our manifesto to achieve that, more than any other party in terms of the financial commitment, more than any other party in terms of the number of social homes. And what we need is a new generation of council and social rent homes. We can debate in another room, another Fringe meeting, housing targets and planning permissions that the private house builders may or may not build out. What actually matters is building council and social rent homes that are genuinely affordable. That's what the government should be focusing on. And that's, for me, that 150,000 target is the most important housing target in our manifesto. And why do we say 150,000? Shelter say 90,000 a year. National Housing Federation say 90,000 a year. We say 150,000 because decent, affordable housing shouldn't be for the most desperate, the poorest in our society only. It needs to be for everyone who's working age who can't afford to get on the housing ladder. We need a whole set of policies to help people get on the housing ladder as well, and that's subject of another Fringe meeting that we could discuss. But fundamentally, a whole swathe of our population cannot afford the rents that are out there. And that's why we have such an ambitious and high target for council and social rent homes, and that's why we put so much money into that in our manifesto. And of course, you can't fill the bath when the plug is taken out. So we must tackle the loss of social housing and the great sell-off of council houses. So we would give councils the power to end right to buy completely in their council areas if that's what they want to do, if that's the right thing to do. In Taunton, we're lucky that the local authority, through successive Liberal Democrat administrations and those of other parties, held on to its housing stock. So we still have a significant council housing estate. But the size of that has dwindled from 30,000 down to about 6,000 homes. And that's the scale of the loss of social housing just in one town that we've seen. No wonder we have 12,000 families on the waiting list in Somerset. If we're selling off the family silver, we're selling off the social homes that previous governments and previous public funds went into building, selling them off at a discount for others to make profits from. And ironically, of course, some of them get turned into private accommodation, rented back at vastly inflated rents as temporary accommodation. I mean, it's a scandal, it's outrageous, and it needs to be tackled. We would also seek to end rough sleeping completely with a new legal somewhere safe to stay duty, so that there is not just a duty to find someone temporary accommodation, but for those who are rough sleeping, there's a duty to provide somewhere for them that night so that they're not on the streets. And we would also end what I think is quite a punitive treatment of homeless people who are restricted to the shared accommodation rate when it comes to their temporary accommodation. That means that Maybe mothers with babies are restricted only to the shared accommodation rate for housing benefit. Is that really the right way to treat people? For me, as I say, I feel it's punitive. It was in our manifesto. It has to go. And by the way, we need to tackle the local housing allowance, which has been kept down for so many years. Finally, as I say, we need to build the council and social houses that we've lost over so many years. I don't underestimate the challenge of that. I know many of you are councillors. I know that running local authorities is not easy. You have massive financial challenges in terms of balancing the books. But, fellow Liberal Democrats, housing homeless people, providing decent accommodation, providing proper temporary accommodation and social and council homes has to be at the forefront of what we all believe in. It has to be something we can deliver. The way to do it is to work together across parties, across government, with local and central government together, and vitally with the voluntary sector, who often lead the way where the state fails. That's the way we're going to tackle this problem. I urge you to do whatever you can to support both Shared Health, their agenda, and tackling the scandal of so many families in temporary accommodation. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Gideon. You make some really, really excellent points about kind of where the strategy could go further. I'd like to reiterate as well that it's amazing that we have a strategy that actually recognises temporary accommodation and looks specifically at children within it, within a framework about homelessness, rather than just particularly focusing on rough sleeping. That hasn't happened as of yet, really. So are we okay to do questions just at the end, just so that we can get through the rest of the session? Thank you. So we're going to move on now to our next final interactive task. So as you can see, we've got these two mysterious boards in the corner, and if you haven't sat on them, we have got some post-it notes and some pens around as well on the seats. So what I'm going to ask you to do is think about kind of some of the problems that if you're a counsellor, if you're a journalist, or if you're an activist, or whatever you may be, to write down some of the issues that you're seeing related to temporary accommodation, or the impacts that it's having on children or families or whoever it may be. We've kind of created a little iceberg to show kind of surface problems, which could be costs to councils or children not going to school or things like that. And then at the bottom of the board is kind of the depth of the problems, so kind of the long-term health issues that children might have because of living in temporary accommodation, or whatever it is that you feel that you're seeing wherever you're from. And then on the other board is we'd like to bring back the positivity and think, what would you guys like to see change? What would help you be able to help change the problem for these children and improve their experiences? And then what we'll do with those suggestions is take them back to the APPG, to our network of local authorities that we work with, and provide those as potential solutions and kind of mitigations for the problems. So we've probably got about 10 minutes for you guys to have a think about something that you'd like to add to the board. We can come around as well if you have any questions, or if you'd like us to stick it up on the board as well. And in front of the boards, we have some reports. Feel free to take one of those back with you. Don't go back empty-handed. But yeah, brilliant. I'll give you about 10 minutes if that's okay. Thank you.